What's up, everybody? Going on first week here of the old my own personal show here. Take a time out with Trav. Thank you guys for joining me and for watching. And like I said, this is week one, so we expect a lot more weeks to come of this. Basically, what's going to go down is I'm going to talk football each week with you guys. This week's going to be a lot of college football. I'll talk about um, Michigan. Michigan college football. What's going on with them? A lot of recruiting in this show, upcoming shows, a little bit of NFL topics going there, with all the head coaching vacancies, playoffs coming, we'll get a little bit more into that as the weeks come on. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. We'll dive right into it. First off, Monday night, we got the big game, the Natty, the national tournament of college football playoffs, Alabama versus Clemson. One that we've seen before. It seems like every year you can almost predict that Alabama and Clemson are going to meet in the national championship. If they meet before, so be it. But two powerhouses, man, and they're two teams that won their playoff game pretty easy. In round one. Personally, I got to give the upper hand to Alabama. As much as I love Dabo Swinney, he's probably my second favorite coach, behind my boy Jim Harbaugh, but I got to give the upper hand to Saban and Bama. Just watching those athletes play the other night versus Oklahoma. If you guys have been watching and tuning in, I liked Oklahoma going into that game. I really did. I thought their offense. I thought Kyler Murray, Heisman winner, was going to lead their offense. The only thing that scared me was their defensive end of things, and when Alabama jumped out on them 28-0, it was a matter of time. So, yeah, the athletes that Alabama puts on the field every given Saturday or whatever day it is just amazing, and it's something that's constant with Nick Saban. He's always bringing in five-star athletes and five-star recruits, and he's probably going to finish with the number one recruiting class again this year. So, it doesn't look like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. I'm giving that advantage to Alabama. If I had to put my money where my mouth is, it would be for Alabama to win this game. I'm predicting it to be pretty close. Hats off to Clemson. Their defense looks stellar. I think their defense, they held Notre Dame without a touchdown, which Notre Dame made the playoffs for a reason. They were a tough team. They had a decent offense throughout this year, and Clemson, they shut them down. So that defense is scary good. However, Tua, he's the man at quarterback. I think he plays great. He's going to make it for a great NFL quarterback too as well. So I'm excited to watch the game. I think it's going to be a battle of the trenches. Both teams have big guys offensively and defensively. They're going to get drafted very high in the upcoming NFL draft. So I'm curious to see it. A lot of good athletes. I just think that Trevor Lawrence is. I don't want to say he's going to come out timid, but I don't think he's going to have the game that we've been used to seeing him play. Alabama's defense is, it's one of a kind, and he's going to see why, I think, on Monday night. So I got the advantage going to Alabama, winning another national championship again, adding to Nick Saban's legacy. Hopefully next year it changes, but this year I got the Crimson Tide rolling over the Clemson Tigers. So on with that. Let's stay in college football, though. A lot of coaching changes going on right now. Most recently being one that I'm really disappointed in. One that brings up kind of a couple conspiracy theories here. Al Washington is being rumored to take the OSU a job with Ohio State under Ryan Day. That was first reported by James Yoder. Man, that's a big blow because Al was a great recruiter for Michigan this year. Hats off to him. I understand, from my understanding, he grew up a big Ohio State fan. His dad played for Woody Hayes at Ohio State. He coached in Cincinnati, state of the Ohio, before coming to Michigan. It's a blow. It definitely is a blow for Jim Harbaugh and his staff. I know Jim is somewhere down south vacationing here for a little bit after the last loss. So I think he's going to have to come back and do quite a few interviews for that Michigan staff. But Ohio State and Ryan Day are off to a great start. They got, obviously, if Al Washington accepts this job, that's a big get for them, especially in the recruiting trail. Jurkic is coming over to be the offensive coordinator. If you guys know who that is, he's Oklahoma State's old offensive coordinator, and he was great there. He put a lot of stars in the NFL. His offense was always proficient at Oklahoma State, so he's an offensive minded guy. He's a great. He's worked with Ryan Day in the past too as well. So I think that's going to be a great hire. I was hoping that if Michigan State did hire an offensive coordinator, that Jurkic would be one of the guys that Jim Harbaugh would consider. So I think that's a great hire for Ohio State. They're off to a great start. And of course, if anybody's been paying attention today, Josh Fields, the former 5-star quarterback from Georgia, is officially transferring to Ohio State. It's now official. He posted on his Twitter, let's see, it was just a couple hours ago. So that one's official. It's another big gift for them, especially with, I know Dwayne Haskins said he's 50-50 on the NFL. I think this solidifies it. I think Dwayne Haskins is definitely going, he's rumored to be the best quarterback coming out this year in the draft. I don't believe so, but again, that's the rumors by the experts right now, with Herbert staying at Oregon. So with that being said, as a Michigan fan, it's kind of disappointing because now we have to deal with basically the same player that Dwayne Haskins is for another 2 years. Fields he's a guy that, he's a mobile quarterback. He won the opening MVP, has a great arm, makes good decisions, so it'll be interesting to see how Tate Martell reacts to it, knowing Tate, knowing his mindset. I'm sure he's going to stay at Ohio State. He's going to fight it out. There was a lot of people on Twitter this afternoon saying, could he transfer, etc. I think it's going to be a dogfight in between, Tate Martell and Josh Fields on who wins that starting quarterback job. And that's only if Fields gets granted his request to be immediately eligible. Now, that's something that the NCAA could deny too as well. From my understanding, he's going to appeal that due to racial issues. At Georgia, there was a racial incident. Again, I'm not 100% on that, but that is the rumored story right now. So that's something that, we've seen it last year with Shea Patterson and Michigan. It's going to have to go through that appeal process. But that's a big get. Ohio State, they lost Urban Meyer and his legacy, and you probably can't replace that again, but they're doing a great job. They won the bowl game, and they've made great moves going into next year with Fields and the staff that they're starting to hire and put together. So hats off to them. Hats off to another team actually in the Big Ten that's doing a great job. Did well this week too in getting a couple more recruits coming in, and that's Illinois, the University of Illinois. Lovie Smith. I'm surprised he's not fired yet. 9 wins in 3 seasons is not something to brag about. They signed him to an extension, though, and he has done a tremendous job so far in bringing in a pretty decent class for the Big Ten. Illinois hasn't been a very competitive football team here, for a couple of years. It's been a few years, actually. So they're trying to get back in the mix in the Big Ten. Luke Ford, the former 5-star Georgia tight end, is transferring from Georgia. He is committed to go to the University of Illinois. So that's a huge get for Lovie. If you guys watched the Under Armour All-American Bowl last night, they got a big commit from inside linebacker recruit, Shamad Cooper, top 300 guy, 4-star. He was one of the guys that coaches raved about all week long, that he was flying around the field. He was kind of everywhere, every play, whichever it went, he was there. So, big get for Lovie there. He also has 2 4-star top 100 athletes coming in. It's probably going to be Illinois' best recruiting class here in a few years. So, interesting to see if, these 2 freshmen play. I think Luke Ford is going to start right away. I mean, he's a threat. Big tight end, big kid, got great hands. So he's going to be a day 1 starter. I'm curious to see if a couple of these freshmen are going to start. But Illinois is trending in the upward direction too as well. Some other news going on. West Virginia has hired Troy, the University of Troy's coach, Coach Brown. Is it the best West Virginia could have done? No. I think they were in panic mode for a little bit. But they're talking like they got their guy, and it's somebody that they wanted. So we will see how that shakes out. I know Troy's had a couple successful seasons under Coach Brown. So we'll see. Losing, if you guys don't know this already, West Virginia lost their coach to the University of Houston, Dana Holgerson. Houston got their man. They wanted Coach Holgerson right from the get, and they got him. They signed him from West Virginia. So I do think that's a good hire for Houston. I'm a big fan of Coach Applewhite, who was fired. He's one of those guys where I don't think he's going to be unemployed for too long. He produced a couple great teams for Houston. You got to remember, Houston was, top 25 ranked a few seasons ago. They're always, this seems to be bowl eligible. They had a bad year this year. Not great the year before that. But I think Coach Applewhite finds a job pretty quickly. So, and I do think that the Holgerson hire was a great hire for Houston. Now, let's get into my University of Michigan. Rumors are Pep Hamilton's going to be taking a job somewhere else. I guess he has the title of our offensive coordinator. A lot of people realize that wasn't the case this year, especially my Michigan fans. I feel your pain. I believe wholeheartedly Jim Harbaugh needs to be a CEO, give the keys away to the offense to somebody, to an offensive coordinator he hires, kind of like he's done with the defense and Don Brown. But yeah, that's a rumor that Pep's out. Somebody else is going to be coming in. A couple rumor names. Greg Roman, tight ends coach for the Ravens, could be one. He's worked with Jim Harbaugh in the past. I heard Steve Sarkisian, he just got fired as offense coordinator from the Falcons. He's a possibility. There's a couple other names being thrown out there right now. A reunion with Jed Fish could be one. If I had to pick, that would probably be a really good one. I do believe that Michigan's offense was more efficient under Jed Fish than it was with anybody. And I think if Harbaugh gives him the keys to the Ferrari with that, I do think he'll be a good hire there. So, with that being said, takes me right into the defensive side. You guys heard me mention Don Brown. Is he going to stay with Michigan? That's the biggest question. Temple wants him bad, and it's down. He's one of the 2 finalists for that Temple head coaching job, and he has came out and said here recently that he would take another head coaching job if it was the right position. So, a lot of you guys, if you don't know, Don Brown's from that East Coast area. He coached at Boston College for most of his career. Temple's over there in New York. So it could be a job that, definitely he takes. He could bring a couple of those New Jersey recruits over there and play for him. So I'll be curious to see what happens. I don't want him to leave. Obviously, Don Brown, we have the nation's #1 defense. The last 2 games, you can't base the whole season off those. I get it. We gave up 100 points basically in 2 games, which is crazy. But I have faith in Don Brown. Wholeheartedly, I think he is a man for this defense. A lot of people say, well, there's weaknesses and it's all schematic. There's weaknesses in everybody's defense. When Kyler Murray turned around Oklahoma in the second half last week against Alabama, we've seen weaknesses in Alabama's defense too. So, and they're supposed to be the best of the best. But I want to retain Don Brown. I think if he leaves Temple, I do think we lose another one of our specialist coordinators. So we've already lost Al at the linebacker core. It's a possibility that you lose Madison from the defensive line, Zordich from the secondary. We don't know. I feel like we could. Michigan could be replacing up to 4 coordinators. So that's a big one. I think Jim's going to come off vacation and be like, whoa, we got a lot of work to do, a lot of interviews. So curious to see how that goes and the weeks moving forward. Get into a little bit of NFL now. We do have the playoffs upcoming this weekend. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Hope to see some good football. If you guys have been watching the TimeOut crew, we've been going at it on predictions and how we think the game's going to turn out. So I won't get too much into detail on that. I'll add a couple quick hitters. Pete Carroll came out and said, playing at Cowboy Stadium is basically like playing at a club, is what he said. So I think that's going to light a feel under the Cowboys' butts. I do think they beat the Seahawks this week. But other than that, I think I'm still going with the predictions that it's going to be Patriots-Rams in the Super Bowl. I know you guys heard me say it before, but we'll see. The NFL, it's tough to predict the playoffs this year. It really is, because there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent going on. So we'll see coming Saturday and Sunday of this week. I think the TimeOut crew and cast is going to be back Sunday night to recap those, so that should be a blast. You guys should tune into that one too as well. Let's see here. Back to the Under Armour All-American game last night. If you watched it, it was a pretty exciting game. We even got to see Coach Sanders go down and try to hold extra point attempt. So obviously that didn't work out too well. But it was a fun game to watch, and I think that's one of the main reasons why they have these All-American games is for, fans to have fun watching it, and for the kids on the field to have fun too as well. Stay safe, hopefully not get injured, things like that. So, winners and losers from that game last night. Losers, I think big losers, was Florida State. The 2 out of the 3 recruits that did commit, obviously, the commitment list was way down this year compared to previous years. We've seen a lot of good players commit and sign their letter of intent, their national letter of intent, during the early period this year, which is, I think it could be a new trend. Early enrollees, these kids want to get on campus and compete for a starting spot. So I don't blame them at all with that. But like I said, there was only 3 kids that committed last night. 2 of them, and Shimon Cooper, who, like I said, previously went to Illinois, and Henderson, the wide receiver that was a heavy Seminoles lean, actually committed to the University of Florida. So, big loss for Florida State last night. They had 10 commits that played in the game. None of them really did anything. They weren't exciting. There was no big plays from the Florida State commits. So, I think Florida State in the whole were losers last night. The other one, try not to be biased here. I really did, but Michigan State, I believe, was losers last night during the Under Armour All-American game. Julian Barnett was a guy who was talking a little bit of trash with University of Michigan commit Giles Jackson over the past week or so, and he didn't even show up really to play in the Under Armour All-American game. Didn't see, any real big flashes. And then Dobbs, the offensive lineman, he got beat a couple times. Nothing spectacular. Didn't really. He looked slow moving his feet, if you ask me. I really tried paying attention to not just where the ball goes, but obviously I've been a coach, so a lot of the off-the-ball stuff, linemen, etc., doing a little bit of evaluations. And I think it was just it was a down night. They trended down all week. There was one day that Barnett played well. He had an interception during live scrimmage practice, but other than that, those are 2 of they were the top recruits in Michigan, and Michigan State did sign them. They're 2 of the top recruits coming into Michigan State's recruiting class. So for those guys to trend down is pretty tough. Now on the flip scale, again, try not to be biased here, but I do feel like everything that I saw this week, what the coaches had said, the University of Michigan was a winner from last night's game and this week as a whole. We didn't get to see Zach Charbonnet, the running back, which I really wish we would have last night. Everyone's saying that he is super exciting to watch. So we didn't get to see him, but we did get to see, Trente Jones, Nolan Rumler, Maisie Smith, who is, that dude is a freight train. He's like moving a building. Anthony Solomon played last night, and Quentin Johnson too as well. And they all trended up all week long. I think they played well last night. Everyone really had a highlight moment. Rumler started. He played well. Didn't really, get blown by, things like that. He looked like he was versatile. Can be a guy that moves inside. Can be a guy that blocks on the outside too as well, which is a great thing. Great news for Michigan. I think he's going to be great under Coach Warner. Hopefully he stays for an extended amount of time in Michigan staff. Trente Jones was another one. Again, he wasn't a guy that got beat. He looked solid. He looked tough, and he trended up all week, actually, as one of the better interior offensive linemen. So other than that, Quentin Johnson had a pass breakup. He had a tackle. His pass breakup there was a great break on the ball. So, again, he was one of the guys that people were talking about all week. And then Anthony Solomon, the recent flip from the University of Miami to Michigan. He had a big hit on a receiver last night, broke up a pass. It was one of the highlight plays from the game. He actually stuck the guy on the comeback route. So it's fun to watch. I think Michigan trended up. I don't know if you want to say another winner last night was Ole Miss in general, but I would say Ole Miss's future running back, Jarian Ely, he went absolutely insane. Had like 120 yards off 14 carries, 2 touchdowns. He was crazy good, especially for his size. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. He looked great last night. He was, running through different holes. It looked like his vision was well. He was seeing things well. Very shifty running back. So Ole Miss has definitely got special talent. on their hands coming into this year. He is, he could be a guy that contributes right away too as well. You don't see that type of talent too often. The guys were talking about it on that were the cast last night, that a lot of the guys who've dominated this game, example, Jadeveon Clowney, have been successful. So definitely watch out for Jerrion Ealy in the years to come at Ole Miss, running back. He was a star last night. Also, I'm going to stay in the Big Ten. Winners from last night. Penn State, I think James Franklin's got a good recruiting class coming in. Noah Cain ran strong. He was, he's one of those guys. He's a powerful back. He's a powerful kid. He ran very strong. He wasn't scared of contact from the bigger guys. So he was exciting to watch. And also the dual threat quarterback, Johnson Jr. He played very well too as well. So that's it from the Under Armour All-America game last night. It was a good one to watch. 1-point game. Came down to the wire. Very exciting. So that one's always fun. I guess we'll wrap it up here. I'll keep it short with you guys. Week 1, like I said, stuck to a little bit of college football this week with the Under Armour game and things like that. We'll wrap it up. I got a couple questions for the viewers. Feel free to, if you want to comment back on this post, share it with the TimeOut crew, or if you want to DM me, personally, ask me the questions, tell me your answers, argue sports, whatever you guys want to do. But I got a couple questions for you guys to answer me. Number 1 being, is Kyler Murray going to go to the NFL draft and play, football at the professional level, or is he going to play in the MLB and play baseball at the professional level? I would like to hear what you guys think. If I'm in Kyler Murray's shoes, MLB money is great. Longevity of the career in the MLB is great. However, I think for some reason he just loves football so much. I think that's why he played it in college. He was a Heisman winner. I personally believe he sticks it out and plays in the NFL. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. He's got that Marcus Mariota, Russell Wilson type vibe to him. So I'm excited to see what he does, though. I want to hear what you guys think Kyler Murray is going to do. I want to hear the opinions on that. Next one. Who's your college football national championship playoff winner? Down between Bama and Clemson. That's on Monday. Who do you guys think is going to win? I'm going with the Roll Tide. Let me know if you disagree. If you think the Tigers are going to come up and why. Kind of give me a reason why. I love to hear it. I love to discuss it too as well. Last but not least, who is going to be the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft, the 2019 NFL draft? Arizona Cardinals are officially on the clock. I think there's a toss-up. Everyone's saying Nick Bosa, Nick Bosa, Nick Bosa. I'm not sold on it. I think the Cardinals have a great pass rusher in Chandler Jones. I think the pass rusher market's going to be pretty good free agency this year. So I'm definitely curious as to who they pick number 1. Nick Bosa, he's a Bosa. Joey Bosa, he shows signs just like what Joey does. But here's the thing is that Nick was hurt all year. He chose to, not play. We'll see what happens in the combine going forward, things like that. But I'm not sold on Nick Bosa being the number 1 overall pick. So if you are, let me know. Tell me why. Personally, I love the kid from Kentucky, the outside linebacker, defensive end type of guy. He has that Chandler Jones mold to him, and I think he could be the next upcoming of Chandler Jones. So you never know, though. The Cardinals have a lot of holes to fill. If Larry Fitzgerald retires after this year, could the Arizona State wide receiver, could we see a wide receiver go off the board at number 1? The Rosen pick, I don't know if it's worked out. Who knows what happens? It was Rosen's rookie year. He didn't seem. I just didn't see out of him. Could they spend another number one pick on a quarterback? We don't know. Their offensive line is terrible. Defensive line has holes. They lost Tyrann Mathieu at safety. There's a couple good defensive backs coming out in the first round. So let me know who you think's coming off the board. Go to the Arizona Cardinals number 1 2019 draft. And if you, of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know, comments, whatever it is. But thank you for joining me. Week 1, I'm gonna wrap it up here on this Take a Time Out with Trav show. So thank you all you guys for watching. And again, please reach out for us. look out for us. Again, we'll be back hopefully this Sunday. The TimeOut crew is going to be back. Follow us, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's see, we're on Podbean too. So listen to our podcast on that as well. But love to hear from you guys. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I can see you guys soon and be ready next week for week 2. Take a time out with Trav. We'll see you guys.